into everything. We've got a really special breakdown today. We're going to give some extra detail that we did versus last week's PPC module. Well, last week we had a week off, so the week before that, I guess. So a few important things to keep in mind for office hours. Number one, calls are recorded. We get a lot of questions, people reaching out on email, commenting in our posts. So calls are recorded. You can find them now. There's a playlist on the Data Dive YouTube channel, and those are going to be in a playlist called Office Hours. You can just also see them on the channel. What we're going to do moving forward is, obviously, we have 3 sessions a week. If we would publish all of the office hours, it would just be way too much to put into one video. So what we're doing is we're taking the training portion, we're putting that into a separate video, and then we're taking kind of a recap of some of the better Q&A, right? So we're not going to post every single question. It would just be too long. There's a lot of repeats between the sessions. So if you haven't seen those, go check out the YouTube channel. That's going to be really good. Thing number 2 that I always like to say when I'm starting office hours is I know a lot about Data Dive, but I certainly don't know everything. And that also applies to PPC, right? I'm really an images guy. I've only really started to get into PPC in the past couple of years. Even on my own brands, I always outsource that, or my business partner would run it. So if I don't know something, I'm going to tell you straight up that I don't know, but we are really good at following up after, and we try to do that in every week, and then building the content for office hours to be better every week. And then also too, this is really exciting. I've been working on this for a long time, is we have a knowledge base, but these are written articles, kind of how to use Data Dive, so that if you don't want to use the video, or you've watched the video and you want to refer back to something that's already happened, that's what the knowledge base is going to be for. So we just wrapped up the final edits on that, getting feedback from everyone on the team to make sure the information was correct. And so that is going to go live this week, and you'll get a notification on that. So a quick agenda for office hours. We're going to spend like 5 minutes going through a really high level overview of PPC and PPC best practices. Then I'm going to spend like the next 10 minutes going through, I think it's like 4 or 5 case studies that are kind of walking through different things that happen, different PPC scenarios. I'm going to explain them. And then, we're going to jump into the Q&A after that. So before we get started with the PPC and the implementation side, I just want to show everyone how theoretically you would start a dive and then set up your launch campaign. And I'm going to do this in just a few minutes, so you're going to see just how fast it is. I'm also doing this as well because we get a lot of people asking about, how to start a dive since the new Jungle Scout update. So I do like to recap that every time. So I'm going to start with our favorite product, the one that I always love to do, and that is going to be elevated pet bed. So in order to start a dive, I'm just going to type the main keyword, the hero keyword, into the search bar. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start selecting the top 10 to 15 plus competitors. And I only want to select products that are actually relevant to what I'm trying to sell here, right? So I'm looking for elevated pet bed. I'm not going to get beds. I'm not going to get beds that are just sitting on the ground. I'm not going to get anything that's a cat bed. So this is just taking its sweet time to load up. Just try. It's just like going real slow here. No idea. Okay, here we go. So it was just taking a minute for it to load. You're going to see these little check boxes under each product. That is what you're going to use to add products to the Asin tray. All right, let's do it. This is just going real slow. I apologize, everyone. I have no idea. I just restarted the computer. All right, if this doesn't load in like 5 more seconds, then I'm just going to go to an existing dive and we'll come back to this. So I'm going to do that while it's running. I'm just going to show you real quick how I would set up this campaign. And then once this page loads, then we'll go back and actually show you how to start the dive. So I'm just going to go to office hours. I'm going to search in my niche pipeline, and I'm going to do the one for North America office hours. So once I've gone through and I've selected the competitors that I want to include in my dive, right? First thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to clean up my master keyword list. It's really important to remove any branded search terms and any keywords that are not relevant to what I'm trying to sell. So you can see that I've already done that here with my exclusions tab. I've gotten rid of, you can see a bunch of different branded search terms. Now, what I would want to do is I'd also want to just go through and make sure that any keywords that are not relevant to what I'm trying to sell here. So let's see if I find any. See, training platform. Right, like elevated dog training platform. I'm not sure if this is relevant to what I'm trying to sell. So I'm just going to click that button, the checkbox, and then click this banner to remove that from the master keyword list. Right, I'm going to get rid of that now. So long story short here is when you do your dive, you go and select your competitors, you get your master keyword list, you have to remove any branded search terms, and you have to remove any keywords that are not relevant. Once I've cleaned up my master keyword list, then I can be sure that the keywords here are the complete list of keywords that I want to try to be targeting, right? That are important, that I want to try to increase my organic rank for. So once I've done that, then setting up the PPC campaigns is actually really easy. I just come over here to this PPC keywords tab. And then all I'm going to do to set up these campaigns is you can see each of the keywords here all the way down at the bottom of the page are the products that I can use in my product targeting campaign. And then really simply, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to check on the boxes. Basically, if I want to include this keyword in my exact campaign, I would have that checked, phrase, broad, product, etc. Right? So once I have all of that set up and I just decide what keywords I want to include in my campaign, then I'm going to move over to this PPC campaigns tab. And then this is here where I'm going to set up my parameters so I can decide, like what my daily campaign budgets are, what I want the ratio and search volume, like how I want to combine keywords, how many keywords per campaign. And then just like before, right, I can actually go through and I can decide, right, if I have this little checkbox clicked here, then that's going to help me. It's going to basically say that I'm going to be sending this product campaign to Amazon. So in this case, I'm only sending the product campaign. And then if I wanted to send the exact campaign, I would add that as well. Now, once all your parameters are set, it's going to automatically group these keywords into the campaigns based on the parameters that you set up here. And then I have two options for getting these PPC campaigns to Amazon. One thing that I can do is I can click this button to generate the bulk sheet. And then you have that actually down here. You can generate the bulk sheet. That is going to be good if you're trying to modify the campaign later on. The bulk sheet is the best way to do that. Otherwise, you can, if you've already connected your Amazon account, and you'll do that in the Amazon Connections tab, you can connect your Seller Central and your PPC account. You basically just click on which PPC account you want to send the campaigns to. You select your portfolio, and then you send it to Amazon. Now, really quickly, just going through, if I'm going to set up a launch campaign, right? This is really for launching products. What you want to do is you want to group your keywords by a root, right? And so when we're talking about a root, this is 2 or more keywords that is a unique way of describing a product. So the first root that I see here is elevated dog bed. And the reason that elevated dog or elevated or dog bed or dog is not a root is because this is not something that someone would typically type into the search bar rather, and then expect to buy our product, right? If someone typed in elevated dog, it doesn't really mean much. Maybe it's like a meditation product for dog. But elevated dog bed, that is the first time that we actually see a root here. And so in order to create these PPC campaigns, you're just going to click on the checkbox here, and you're going to do this for every single one of your roots, right? So I'm going to click on that one. The next one I see is raised dog bed, right? And then I see dog cot. And then I also have these different sizing variations, right? So like raised dog bed large, I already have that included as a root. So really important, right? You have to have that clear master keyword list, right? You clear your master keyword list. And then once you've done that, then you can be sure that these roots here are actually roots that you want to focus on. So you just click on the check boxes. And then right now I've only selected 3 roots. I think there's probably 6, oops, just the dog barking. There's probably 6 or 7 roots for this product. And so once I've selected those, then it's very similar to doing this in the PPC campaigns tab. Now I can set up my parameters here, right? Decide what my budgets are going to be. I can review the campaign. And then I can, just the same as before, generate a bulk sheet or send these to Amazon. Now, the really cool thing about using Data Dive is this is quite fast to do. Right now, I've already built out all of these campaigns, right, with 33 different keywords, and it's breaking them off across these multiple different campaigns that I have set up here, right? So it just takes a lot of the work out. Now, I'm going to come back to Amazon here. I know we're just doing a little bit of back and forth here. So I'm going to come back to Amazon, and we're going to see if we can get started on a dive. So if you'll remember from before, I just typed in elevated pet bed into the search results. And then what we're going to do to add the products we want to include in our dive is we're going to click on this little plus icon here. So I'm going to do this for like, at least 15 of the most relevant products in this niche, right? I'm going to click on this plus icon, and notice that I'm not selecting any sponsored results. And I'm not going to include anything that's not an elevated pet bed, right? So just like before. So that's sponsored, so I don't want to include that. All right, got another one here. Okay, I think I've got 15 at this point. If I saw like a cat bed, or if I scroll further down, see here's like a cat bed. I don't want to include that in my dive. It's going to get me a different set of keywords. Another cat bed here. There might be, if I scroll down far enough, I don't see any. These search results are quite relevant. So sometimes you'll see like a normal pet bed that's just sitting on the floor. I wouldn't want to include that. So once I've added all of these competitors to my dive, I'm just going to click on the Data Dive extension. And then I'm going to come over to this Asin tray tab. And you can see here I've got 14 competitors. And then what I can do is I can either add these products to an existing niche, right? So if, let's say I wanted to add these 14 competitors on, or let's say I wanted to add one new competitor onto an existing dive, all you have to do that is add the products to your Asin tray, then select the niche that you'd want to add it to. You click on it. This is not going to be accurate, right? Because this is, it's a lint bin, but just imagine that this was for an elevated pet bed. Now it's going to add in these 14 new Asins, or however many Asins I've added to my tray. And then it's gonna add it to that existing dive. Now for this example, I'm gonna create a new niche, and then this is going to just be elevated pet bed AP office hours. This is like the 5th time I've done this. And then I click dive, and that's how you're gonna start your dive. Now, once this research completes, it's gonna take me to the master keyword list, and that's gonna bring us to the beginning part of this presentation where I was showing you how to set up your PPC campaigns. Now, a common question that that I get all the time is, what's the difference between using the Asin tray and then using this button here on the right-hand side, which is going to launch your dive box? And I want to be really clear about this, that both of these things in the tool, they do the exact same thing, right? It's just slightly different, right? So basically, this dive box is going to show me what shows up on search results, right? So when I'm creating my dive, you can see that I'm limited to just the products that are showing up here. So what if I would want to launch a product, or I'd want to add an Asin to my dive that is not included in search results, right? Or it's a product that doesn't have a BSR, or it's a new product that is just launched, and I want to manually add it to see how I'm performing relative to the rest of the niche. And so that's the whole point of using the that's the point of using the Asin tray. It's because that is going to allow me to create a fully custom list of only the products that I want to add to my cart. Okay, so we've got 48 people here. I think everyone's joined. I'm going to spend now the next few minutes going through this part of the deck, which is going to walk through some just really high-level PPC SOPs. This is the second part of this workshop that we've done. And I want to be really clear too that we don't have too much time to go over this. We want to spend a lot of time doing Q&A. So this is going to be pretty high level. It's going to be pretty quick. If you want the full breakdown, we just did a PPC masterclass this last Friday. It's like more than 4 hours long, and it really drives into this stuff at a much more granular level. So this is kind of the striking balance of what I can do in like 10, 15 minutes, and we'll do our best to cover it all. So first thing that's really important to know, I really want to reinforce this every single time, is how Amazon's ranking algorithm works. And so basically there's 4 components to Amazon's ranking algorithm. There's click-through rate, there's conversion rate, and there's revenue. And then basically relevancy is a multiplier of revenue. And so what you have to think about is how organic rank is determined on Amazon is it's basically looking, right, to determine who deserves to be in the top spot. It's just looking at historical averages of each of these metrics. So if you want to increase your organic rank, right, it's going to be really important that you're going to have a really high performing CTR relative to the other people in your niche. Same thing with conversion rate, right? It's all going to be niche specific, right? If you're selling into a category where the average conversion rate is 45% and your conversion rate is 25%, you are going to be underperforming. You can expect over time that your organic rank is going to go down and the people that have a high conversion rate is going to go up. The last one here is revenue. Revenue is just total sales, right? And so what you want to be looking at if you want to increase your organic position over time is you want to have revenue, you want to have sales that are performing better than the competitors, right? And so PPC is a great way that you can drive additional revenue to your products, right? As you drive more revenue, organic rank is going to increase over time. So a few key takeaways that I want to give you about just PPC. Number one, like we already said earlier when I was showing you how to set up a PPC campaign for launch, is that the most efficient way to manage PPC campaigns is by route, right? And remember, when we're talking about a route, we're saying that these are 2 or more words that are a unique way of describing a product, right? Because, right, when we have a route and we're driving traffic to the route and we're driving sales to the route, right? We're not just going to get credit for that one keyword, right? What a route is, as I can show you, I can flip over into data dive in a minute. A route is going to give you credit not just for that route, but for all of the keywords contained inside of that route. So I'm going to show you an example real quick right here. We're going to go to the routes tab. I just want to show this visually really quick. So like, for example, the reason elevated pet bed is so important for us, when we drive PPC traffic to this route for elevated pet bed, we're not just going to increase our rank for elevated pet bed, we're going to increase our rank for all of these 36 keywords with this broad search volume of 40,000. So not just this keyword, but all of these keywords. And we're even going to get credit for elevated dog, dog bed, dog, and bed. So all of these keywords contained under that route, right? Hope that makes sense. Okay, we're going to keep moving here because we got a lot to go through. So next is you can expect similar routes to perform similarly, right? I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Number 3 is inspect the search term report on a regular basis to see if keywords and subroutes need to be regrouped. I'm going to go over an example of this in just a minute. And then really important to know as well is over time, keywords may change. And then as well, new routes might emerge and they might actually perform better. And so this is why it's really important as you're running these PPC campaigns, we're going to start very wide. We're going to start very broad. Over time, we're going to inspect the search term report and we're going to see what keywords are performing, right? We're going to increase the spend on those. We're going to increase the volume of those. And then the ones that are not performing, we're going to try to remove those. We might even negative out those campaigns. So I'm going to give you a quick practical example, and this is about dividing campaigns based on performance. So let's say you set up a PPC campaign, right? You launch it, and then you find that within that route group, right? Let's say you're doing like dog hats, and you have like yellow dog hats and cowboy dog hats, right? But then when you go into the search term report, you find that cowboy hats is not performing very well at all, but yellow dog hats is performing extremely well. And so this is just a good best practice that you can do, right? You're going to get a lot more granularity if you break down your campaigns into fewer keywords per campaign. If you find that within this route, right, you have like dog hats and then you have yellow dog hats, cowboy dog hats. Yellow dog hats is performing, cowboy dog hats is not performing. You can actually divide these campaigns up and you might start to put yellow dog hats into a standalone campaign with other related keywords so you can monitor the performance. That way, this cowboy dog hats, which is performing very poorly, right, you're going to be able to isolate that. You're going to be able to see the performance over time. You're going to get a lot more control. And so the whole thought is that once you do this and you divide out these campaigns, then you're going to be able to increase your budgets, and then you're going to be able to scale these campaigns that are performing well, right? That's the key part, is that over time, you just want to keep scaling these campaigns. You're not 100% sure what's going to work. You're just going to set something up. you're going to look at the search term report. And then if it's performing well, you're going to double down on the things that are performing well. And you're going to get rid of the things that are not performing well, or try to maintain or optimize those campaigns that are not performing well. Okay, this is another one that I wanted to share with you guys. This is brand new. Again, part of this PPC masterclass that we did last Friday. And this is kind of this decision hierarchy for PPC. And a lot of sellers actually get this wrong. And it's basically going from the top down to the bottom of what's most important to least important when it comes to making decisions about your PPC campaigns. So for us, right, having organic keyword rank, improving organic keyword rank is the most important part, right? It's why it's at the top of this funnel, right? What we really want to do from launch is we want to build out this foundational support for organic keywords, right? Improving our organic keyword rank is going to be the most important thing. After that, the thing that we want to look at is increasing our conversion rate, right? This is going to be our competitive advantage relative to other sellers. Sorry for the sirens, just here in New York, so it's a little bit loud and we've got a window open. But so we've got conversion rate, right? Imagine, right, you have this boat, right? And you're like, I'm going to put this really fast power boat speed motor on a boat, but then the boat has a hole in it, right? It's probably not really smart to do that, because it doesn't matter how fast the boat goes, it still has a hole in it. It's going to eventually sink, right? And so that's kind of how you think about conversion rate when it comes to PPC. That before we want to try to dial in all of these other things, we want to make sure that we have a listing that's actually converting well. But then more importantly, when we look at the individual PPC campaigns, we actually want to be able to drive traffic to these different keywords, but we want it to convert. And so if we have keywords that are not converting, right, we're going to want to scrap those, right? We're going to want to get rid of those, or we're going to want to optimize those, right? Only now we're getting further down into this funnel. We have tacos, right, related to profitability, right? And then ACOS. ACOS is at the very, very bottom of this list, right? Because the thing is, at the end of the day, right, that's what's going to allow us to push volume there, right? That's what's going to allow us to scale up these ads at the end. Too many sellers, I think, go in at the beginning and they're focused just on ACOS, right? But if you're running ads and it's increasing organic ranks, that's going to be a good thing, right? You're going to get more sales over time. So I know I showed this in the last one, but again, this is probably an even more slimmed down version of the PPC decision funnel. This is the decision matrix. And again, it's getting back to this point that ACOS and tacos, right, are much less important than organic keyword rank and actually getting conversions. And so how you read this decision matrix is basically, if you're running PPC campaigns, anything at all that is giving you positive ranks, even if it's not profitable, you're going to keep those campaigns on. Alternatively, down here at the bottom of this list, anything that is going to be negatively impacting your keyword ranks, you want to turn off, right? Obviously, in the middle here, you can keep on anything that's going to keep your keyword ranks neutral. You only want to turn those off if it is not profitable. So this is another good one. This is a good one for you guys to screenshot. We kind of put this slide in here because 2023, right? Tacos are getting bigger and bigger. So we wanted to show the biggest taco possible. Now, these are just some good, some good breakdowns in terms of, like, you know, metrics that you have, right? And so at launch, right, when you're looking at your tacos at launch, this really can be uncapped, right? When we're launching a product, we don't care necessarily how much we spend on individual keywords, so long as it's helping increase our keyword rank, right? Once you get into weeks 2 or 4, we still have a very high tacos, 60%, right? You're going to still be spending a ton, but now after launch, you're here in like weeks 2 to 4. This is where you're going to start to dial things in, right? Right? As you get into weeks 5 and then moving on into growth, and growth can last really as long as you want it, right? If we're in this elevated pet bed category, it's going to be very expensive and it's going to take quite a while, right? Your growth phase might go for, you know, months and months, because you're trying to work your way up. You're trying to increase that revenue to be a top competitor, right? So when we get into weeks 5 and then and beyond for the growth phase, then we want to be somewhere under 30%. And then so finally, when we get into this maintenance phase, that's going to be your tacos, your goal is going to be anywhere from 5 to 15%, right? It's kind of like a big graph, and we're going to show you some practical examples in a minute. But when you launch, right, you're like spending a ton, but your organic ranks are going up. Your organic sales are going up, right? Then eventually It's going to start to level off, come down. And then we're going to see, in an ideal world, we're going to see a very, very flat curve. And that's going to be our maintenance phase, right? So we're just going to be slimming down on those campaigns, figure out what's working. We're going to double down on the campaigns that are working. We're going to shut off the campaigns that are not working. So again, this is just something good to screenshot. These are daily budget best practices. So number one thing is your overall budget depends on the total number of campaigns that you are running, right? So think about this, right? If you are setting a budget of $20 per campaign, when you launch, right, you might have 30, 50, even 100 plus campaigns. So just be mindful that if you, your daily budget, right, if you're doing $20 a budget, $20 per campaign, you have 100 campaigns, you could easily spend $2,000 a day, right? So you want to ask yourself, what should the total spend be for this entire ASIN, right? Not necessarily by the actual keyword campaign, but how much am I okay with spending for this entire ASIN, right? As well, right, this is really important. You want to split campaigns from the ASIN level down to the individual campaign. Next one here is budget is dynamic, right? Just because you're setting a large daily budget doesn't mean it's going to be spent, right? You're going to need to dial that budget in based on conversion rate, right? So just because you put this massive budget out doesn't mean it's going to go through it. You actually have to be converting those sales. And when those sales are not converting, right, that's when you're going to want to take a look and say, hey, maybe I need to re-optimize this campaign. Really common mistake. I saw this as a post in an inner circle. This was like, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Someone they launched, right? And let's just compare the situation that I'm going to tell you right now versus our healthy tacos. They're like at launch and they're like, yeah, my ACoS at launch is 15% and I only have a few sales. Am I doing okay? Right? That is getting into this point here that if you are too conservative, it means that your budget is too small. So just keep in mind these thresholds, these healthy tacos thresholds, and it's going to give you an indication of, okay, am I spending way too much and I need to dial this back? Or on the alternate side, am I spending way too little and I'm actually losing opportunity to gain organic rank? I'm losing opportunity to gain market share. And then lastly on here, if your campaigns are going well, keep increasing spend to scale ads, right? That's getting back to that funnel here at the bottom, that ACoS least important, right? I'm going to spend a ton. If I'm making sales and I'm driving, remember, got that Amazon ranking algorithm, click-through rate, conversion rate, revenue. Revenue is a really, really, really big part about this. I can't stress this enough. So if your campaigns are going well, I'm not going to necessarily mind so much if my PPC spend is going up because I'm making sales. I'm increasing my organic rank, right? Important things to keep in mind. So what we're going to do right now before we wrap up, and I think we're doing good on time. It's going to take me like another 5 or so minutes to go through. And then we're going to start jumping into Q&A. I'm going to go through, I think it's 4 different case studies. I'm going to kind of explain, these are practical examples of PPC campaigns that were run. And then we're going to walk through kind of what happened here and a few takeaways. Now, if you want to, you can start loading up the Q&A with your chats. What we're going to do is we're going to prioritize anyone who raises their hand. Those are the questions we're going to take first. And then we're going to go through and do everything in the chat. Now, I want to be really clear as well that the questions do not have to only be related to PPC. It would be great if they actually weren't. They really should be related to data dive as well. So if you have issues with starting a dive, I looked through a lot of the intake for biggest questions that people have. So any question you have, we'll do our best to answer them here. All right, so case study 1, what's happening, right? Our spend, we went down from $100 to $50, right? Our red line here is going to be spend. So you can see here, we're like up over $100. We get down to $50 and our tacos drop from 14% to 4%. So what's happening here, right? Basically, what's happening is we had these campaigns running, right? And over time, right, what we do is we actually find which keywords are performing and we're doubling down and we're optimizing the campaigns to figure out, okay, these ones are performing well, right? I'm going to double down and throw more budget into those. And then the keywords that are not performing well, I'm going to remove those from the campaign or I'm going to reduce the budget. So what you're seeing here is that the overall PPC spend goes down and then your tacos is going down as well. So we're able to optimize these campaigns and go from 14% down to 4%, right? Really good scenario, not bad. All right, what about this here in PPC campaign 2? This is the practical case study number 2. Oh, I just think I gave away the answer. So maybe if you didn't see already on the next slide, what is happening here, right? What phase of the PPC what phase of PPC strategy, I guess I should say, are we in? Are we in launch, growth, or are we in maintenance with this one? Let's see if anyone can guess in the chat. I'm going to pull it up. Anyone know? Is this launch, growth, or maintenance? Exactly, right? So we're already getting some answers here for maintenance. Perfect, right? So let's compare that to what we saw. Oopsies. Let's compare that to what we saw in these, right? Right, so you can see here, right, our PPC spend is high. We're starting to get close to the maintenance phase. This is a really well done maintenance phase, right? Because you can see that the spend for PPC and tacos is quite highly related, right? And it's kind of leaving us into this fixed area where our A cost is about 25%. Right, so our tacos is 6.5%, right? And our A cost is about a quarter of what we're making, right? Highly profitable ads. So what we've been able to do here, right, is we've been able to dial in the campaigns over time, right? We didn't start with tacos of 6.5%. What happened is over time, we're driving this down, And then now our PPC spend is relatively flat, right? It's very, very similar. It's all within this range. You can see somewhere in the range of about $25 a day, right? It's all about leveled off or about we're maintaining here. Okay, so let's move into this one here. What's happening? Case study number 3. I'm not going to ask here. I think we already give the answer, but we gotta keep rolling through here. But as you can see here, our PPC spends, right? We're up here at around 70, right? Now we're able to lower this PPC spend, but our organic sales are staying roughly the same, right? And so this is kind of, we're getting out of the tail end of launch, right? And we're getting into growth and profitability here. So again, our PPC spend is going down and our organic is kind of leveling off. And then I think this is the last one here, right? This is 8 days into launch. What's going on here, right? You can see, right, that our PPC spend, right, when we first start off, all of our sales are coming from PPC spend. But once we get here around to the 26th, you see something fantastic happen, right? Our PPC spend is still going up, but now we're starting to get organic sales. This is the whole point about doing PPC, is that as you dedicate more and more into PPC and your organic ranks improve, that revenue component of the Amazon ranking algorithm improves. Now you're going to start to see sales that are coming from organic, right? And then so it looks like here we're going to start to do another big push of getting into this growth phase, right? So again, this is, like it's saying here, 8 days into launch, right? And then now we're turning on growth mode, right? So we've successfully launched a product, we're getting organic sales. Now we're saying, okay, we want more organic sales. And so now we're going to push out some PPC campaigns. We're going to see what sticks and we're going to optimize those campaigns. So you can see here, right? A cost at around 20%, right? Which is totally healthy, very acceptable for the phase that we're in.